Hello. So, update on the LS that we've been kind of bummed about on the valve train, and I think we got a pretty good update. I think we got some pretty good stuff. So, I didn't grab any video while we're doing this because my guys were working on it while I was tuning a plethora of vehicles. And basically, here's what we figured out on my little to-do list here. I kind of got noted down. All right, so we got the BTR SK702 spring kit was what was on the car originally, or on this motor, and same springs that comes in the SK703, but they changed the retainers and go to shorter installed height so that the spring pressure comes up. So what we found out is the springs on the motor were installed at 18350, which lowers our seat pressure down to about 155, 150 range, versus when we look at our lift of our camshaft, which is 648, this puts us way away from coil bind. Coil bind's down at 1 inch on these springs. So we had probably some pretty good probability of the valves floating. So what we've done is we ordered the SK703 kit, and that came with shims and retainers to bring the install height down, and then I ordered some offset locks, but somebody had opened the bag and switched them out, so we had to kind of double up on our shims a bit. But now we're sitting right about 1700, so now our seat pressure went from about 155 to 210. And then our open pressures went up like 100 pounds, according to the math that was ran by Ryan Mueller. So we think this is probably going to change some stuff. So we put new springs on the car, even though they only had like 25 runs, or I mean, most of that's dyno pulls, and then 2 track runs and a burnout behind the shop. And then, yeah, shims and different retainers and new keepers. To kind of get everything set to where we can have that new installed height. Already the car sounds crisper. It sounds, or it needs fuel. It showing it's a little lean. So I have not done a pull yet, but we are strapped down to do a pull. So we're in place to do a run. So I think I'm gonna quickly do one, and let's just see what this thing makes. We're gonna take everything off and make a motor pull, but really, as nice of a number that is a no right this second, really we need to know if it'll go wide open throttle and with boost in it. You know, is the boost gonna change? Is it gonna be more efficient? Is it gonna make more power? You know, is it gonna change nothing? Might change nothing. I mean, it's definitely more right than it was. So you know, I mean, we got the spring set to about 52 thou from coil bind, which is a lot closer to the industry standard than, you know, 180 thou. So, anyways, let's make a rip. Let's make a rip. See if this thing does something cool. See what the log says. Make sure nothing happened there. But that is not a favorable outcome at the moment. Flip that box over. Turn it to a computer stand. There we go. Cool. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, can we put a shop vac on it? All right, see what we got. Looks like it spun on the hit, or it started to make some power, and then it kind of just stopped. So let's see. The boost line's moving around quite a bit right here. Let's go back to the fueling here. It's pulling out quite a bit of fuel. So we tipped in. It's kind of fat on tip in, which actually it made pretty good power on the graph there, and then declined on really gaining a whole lot of power. And it pulled fuel out of it. Okay. The last tune I had in here was nitrous, so let's just make sure I turned it off, but I'm pretty sure I turned it off. See, dry fuel, that's grayed out, so that means that was not on. Let's see, nitrous output. Nitrous stage 1, it's grayed out, so that wasn't on. So yeah, so it wasn't overfueled because of that. Now let's try. Let's look at our run from the other day. We're going to look at fueling and see if maybe that was it. Let's see what date we have to last. Monday the 2nd. So let's pull that. Did a really bad job out saving my logs. Alright, so we're going to lay the RPM plots on top of each other as much as I can here. So let's just take a look here, 64.50 basically. And it's a pound of boost difference. See you guys. Thank you for the help. And then same fueling, same pounds per hour delivery. But the air fuel is quite a bit richer. So last time it was 3.6. This time it's 3.3. Even though we had the same, within 10 pounds, 10-12 pounds pound per hour of fuel delivery. I guess if we look at the fuel flow versus KPA, we're up a little bit there. So I mean, it does have a little fuel in it. I did put about 7-8% across it globally, you know, hoping that this thing was going to kick off. Let's check the timing real fast. Yes, and it's very much in line where it was before. But yeah, the boost curve is uneven, so it's not quite there. Not quite following where it was before. But it's down. It's down across this curve. We look at the RPM here versus the boost here, so it's fluttering around pretty good. And this thing peaked power way earlier. So not a good start. Not a good start at all. So this is This is those two runs I was just comparing. Two runs we were looking at there a second ago. Oh, we did change rear gear, so that'll change the torque output. So I forgot to update that, so I do need to change that. But that may be why the torque looks so much better. And that's probably why the RPM looks short, because I did rest about 72. But I mean, either way, it's going to, it's still not what we're looking for. So, yeah, going from a 370 gear to a 389. Up a little bit, so yeah, I need to rescale my thing with the dyno. Okay, well, I'm gonna think about what I can do next. All right, so we redid lifter preload to get it back in that 25 to 30 thou window on these lifters. So just made that change to the exhaust rocker arms. That's the one that's off. Let's see. That's about all I got. We did that. We put a fresh set of plugs in it. They looked real. Hopefully they're real. We'll see. Yeah, we're gonna sync the dyno real quick to the car for the new gear ratio change. That way we get an accurate torque plot and an accurate RPM sample, and then we'll be moving along. So I changed spark plugs, well, air exchange plugs. I put in, changed the preload on the exhaust rocker side, and green versus red. This is drafting mile per hour for the second. So that way I can get a direct comparison of the horsepower line from first run to second run on the plug change. And we can see we lost a little bit in the bottom here, probably because it was a little fatter there before. And then at the higher RPM revs here, picked up about 80 horsepower. And then if we look at green versus blue, since the RPM plot will be the same, it's a little down right here, but then it kind of starts to come up and grab it a little bit better. So boost still wandering around just a touch. I think we'll probably pull a couple plugs out real fast and just make sure that they are, well, just kind of see what they're looking like, you know. Yeah, so we'll pull plugs out of it, see what it's looking like, and then go from there. Okay, on the plus side, we just pulled plugs out of it, looked at the plugs, and they look really, really lazy on timing. So that was one of the things I was hoping that would be fixed, is maybe we would get some of our timing sensitivity out of this thing with getting the valve shimmed and better valve control. And that looks like it's a plus. So right now it looks like we're landing pretty good on top of the same RPM plot as last time. So if I rev it out higher, which I'm putting a ginormous RPM output on my screen, so I stop, you know, pussyfooting basically and not picking this thing up. Megan may have to bleep that out. Sorry, babe. But I just need to get this thing to the RPM plot. I need to get it up to 71, 7200 RPM instead of 67, 6800. So, yeah, the boost is moving around a little bit on the previous pole. The last pole, it was more stable. So, let's just hope we're going the right direction. So this will help quite a bit, hopefully. I sent Megan the clip. Maybe I should put the video in here. I did my first burnout truck today. So the customer asked me, he's like, hey, he's like, you know, you gotta make sure that it'll do what it needs to do, right? And I was like, man, Brad, if you're gonna twist my arm, I guess I'll have to go out here and floor it for a second. So, pretty neat. I believe it's a 871 on top of a 540 big block Chevy, twin Holley 4500 throttle body units with injectors in them. It's like Sniper, but ran by a Terminator X, injecting all the fuel through the blower. Pretty freaking neat. So enjoyed that. Runs fantastic. Need more fuel injector, but get that fixed later. But for now, they're heading across country too for this weekend to do a burnout competition and show off their badass trucks. So well, I think we about got plugs in and we're gonna make another lick. Okay, added ignition timing, lost horsepower. So we're gonna pull plugs out again and see what they show. Yeah, nothing too great. So I mean, I guess worst case scenario, I can always pull timing back down of it, pick power back up, and then I mean, then we still got, you know, 1080 to 1100 horsepower that we can run with. And at this point, I just want to tear it up. I mean, I want to see it leave its mark on the world. So whether that is making fast passes, or that's this whole thing going on the shop floor or on the track, don't really care at this point. So either way, yeah, it's not a disappointing day. Yeah, very disappointing day. So I mean, I guess at least Elvira will have like 1,000 horsepower motor, you know, and maybe one of these days I'll do something else and make more power. But pretty discouraged. So we'll replugs, we'll look at that, and then yeah, I think I'm done making pulls. Time to go see what this thing can actually do. So gotta find somewhere to go test it. Dang. So all right, well, we're gonna check plugs. They'll probably show me that it's got a pissed off combustion chamber, and on to pulling timing right back down, and that'll be it. We'll do full send on that. Okay, so I'm building a tune-up. Disappointed, but I can't just race the dyno the whole time, you know. I gotta go out there and make a pull and see what it's gonna do. So I don't have a track to go to, so I'm going to find a nice undisclosed location to make a lick, and that's it. So sitting here with my laptop and offset 25. Okay, I think that'll be pretty close. So this is a 550 at 142 with the big block 121. So if I can keep the tire control close early, and then yeah, I mean, if it spins, it'll get up in the plot. If it doesn't spin, then it'll just go faster and it'll get underneath the plot, so it won't really restrict how fast it can go. 90524. Got 389 gear in it. We're going to use a 3055S. Track settings on the chassis. So it's not set up for back of the track racing. It's not set up for shitty surfaces. It's set up for tree side, trying to go fast. So, all right. So we got shift point set up. We got converter lock fixed. We're not going to run nitrous on this one. Yeah, should be in pretty good shape there. Okay. Well, as you can hear, Eric's getting in the trailer for me while I'm doing this, and we're going to go out here in just a little bit and make some noise. Hi, it's me again, doing an update. We didn't go racing. Went out to make our test pass Thursday night after lots and lots of dyno pulls and kind of figuring out that with the cam profile we had, since it was more set up for a street car because of fire over here, it probably just wasn't going to deliver the number we're looking for. So I do have a 427 in the works that I started about a year and a half ago. So I'm going to pump up more cubic inches for Elvira's combination with the Pro Charger, and might change the heads, but definitely going to add some cubic inches to it and get in the car. So what went wrong? Why didn't we go racing? Well, on the test pass, I got, since it was done in Mexico, I'm not posting those online anymore. The car showed real promise. My goal was to make a half track pass. Well, at half track we ended up having a issue, and that took us out for the weekend. So let's see. This is an ATI blower hub. Or I'm sorry, this is an ATI balancer hub. It's got a single keyway in it, and then we add a 1/4 inch roll pin pinning kit, or through a pinning kit that Pro Charger offers. Well, the fuel pump drive on this motor we did has this pulley on the back of it, and let me grab a light. It's kind of hard to see that. Okay. So for cleanliness and packaging back in Elvira, or the street car, I wanted to do this fuel pump drive with a belt on the back. So since normally the AC compressor belt goes there, our AC on Elvira is driven by the main 6-rib belt. So it's driven by this one instead of a 4-rib that normally rides here. This hub that we have to use, it has that gear on it. It moves a couple things. First thing it does is it kind of removes some material from the hub itself, and ATI presses on this seal protector sleeve, it looks like, goes on there. And it's this piece of steel that starts back here, so they machine off about 40-50 thousandths of the outside diameter of this guy, and then it goes up here and then gives us a wall to protect that front seal just in case the belt ever tries to ride backwards. These toothed belts are pretty good about following the same path all the time, especially if you have a walled pulley. So if you got a walled pulley, it doesn't ever move. So I really don't, to me, it doesn't really need to be there. I'd rather just have everything be thicker. Well, what I think has happened is that hub is now wobbling. And I have seen from a couple, there's another local guy here, and he's broken the hub right here twice. And he informed me that ATI actually sells a hardened hub, if you call them. And I talked to Pro Charger about it. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it should be in the instructions. So maybe I just looked at too many pictures, but I can't buy that hardened hub without calling ATI. So I'm going to do that. But let me show you what it's doing. I'm sorry, I'm kind of kicking some stuff over here in the car because the time for the LS has ended. So we'll get to that more later. All right, so I'm going to hit my rollover button here. So we got a little wobble, a little wobbly wobble. And one of the things I don't like about this hub setup, if you didn't notice, that's a silver bolt in there. Yeah. And no, I'm not too cheap to buy an ATI bolt, or I'm sorry, a ARP bolt, or even putting a stock GM bolt, which is my preferred method. I like to use the stock GM bolts. I feel like they hold torque way better. Because of that pulley they add in there, the face of the dampener, like my finger is way down in here right now, way back there, they moved it up about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. And what that does is it ends up requiring a much longer crank bolt if you want any threads. So I bought a LS7 ARP bolt to go in there because it's the longest bolt you can buy. And it only had 2.5 threads of engagement in the crankshaft snout. So that wasn't going to work. So I went and got a couple 10.9 6-inch long, I think they're 160 millimeter from Fastenal, and they're $7, so that was kind of nice. It was a little cheaper, but what I don't like is that bolt has 1.5 inches of, not really deflection, but support, because the crank snout stops way back here. Yeah, because the crankshaft snout, let's see, let me get a Sharpie here. Kind of spitballing here. Grab my Sharpie. Big blocks in the way. Okay, so on our hub here, let's see if I can set you up on a stand. There we go. That may be a little better. Okay, so on our hub, the crankshaft snout and the hub were like where the bolt would go. So the bolt with its washer normally rests right here. And then that puts us to where it'd be about right there as far as like the washer would go and the bolt. Well, with this tooth pulley, they had to remove some material here in order to get teeth there, and that ends up putting the bolt to where it has to go almost all the way up here. And what that means is the crankshaft snout stops here, but the bolt and washer are here, so we get this inch and a quarter, inch and an eighth, inch and a quarter to inch and a half. I got my crude tape measure here. So 1 3/4 of an inch, actually. It has to, the bolt just has the shaft, or has its own, shoulder, and there's no support for the bolt. So, from what I can tell, I haven't pulled the balancer off, obviously. I do not believe the crankshaft snout's bent. It might be bent. It's a Dart center counterweight billet crankshaft, and I've seen a rash of broken ones anyways. So if it breaks, not that concerned about it. I mean, it'll hurt the resale of the motor, obviously, because you can't sell a motor with a broken crankshaft. But, which I do think I'm going to sell this 388 just because I do want to put it into my 427. And so I'm going to figure out what I want to do there. Because I got a set of another Brodix 6-bolt small bore heads from one of our 5.3 experiments a few years ago. And I think that head would actually do pretty well on this 388. So I think I may do that and end up selling this long block, and then push to finish my 427, and then maybe use these BR7 273 heads on that. Or I really want to go up to like a bigger head, a bigger, nastier head. So like an All Pro or Masthead or something with some like hurt to it. So anyways, I think due to not having this support on the bolt, because normally that bolt's like goes right in the crankshaft and there's not a bunch of free hanging shoulder space, I think that hurts the design of this too. And we had actually made a aluminum collet to go in there, but my lathe equipment isn't state of the art. It's from like 1930s, 1940s, I feel like. It's over there in the background. And so we don't get real tight tolerances on stuff. So I did put that in there just to kind of help retain the roll pin we weld or we drill in there, since this crankshaft is not double keyed. So we didn't buy a double keyed balancer hub, which I'm going to do this time. And then I should have enough meat left that I can come in and weld from the, I can drill from the side, because ATI is a different pinning kit that has you put in dual 1/4 inch roll pins or solid pins from the side. That way it's kind of like a pseudo keyway. I don't know if I really like that, because if this main keyway starts to give, then you just have two rounded edges trying to hold this from spinning. And I think that's just going to lead to more fractures, because there just really isn't a lot of material here, especially when you have a keyway slot cut in it. So big block's got a lot more meat there. Ideally, I probably need to do a custom crankshaft with a big block snout and then do a bunch of other stuff. Or I wish ProCharger integrated a crankshaft support bracket or crankshaft support system into more of the bracket kits. I think that'd be cool. So that, or make a new ProCharger bracket, because I mean it's just a single plate of I don't know how thick that is. It's either 5/8 or 3/4. See how thick this thing is. Yeah, it's about 3/4 of an inch thick. So it's just a big 3/4 inch thick plate that goes across. And if we just had it extended to go across the balancer face and then tie into either the add-on bolts for motor plate or timing chain cover, we could have a bearing support or crankshaft bearing support system in here. And that would help with, this pretty short depth of balancer hub engagement that these motors have, and give us some support. So I did look at the Joe Blow timing chain cover support system, and with this we just have that pretty good sized blower pulley way out there. And I think that although that would help, I don't think it's an end-all solution. And then plus it would take up the space that I have for that fuel pump drive. So then it's kind of back to square one. So, okay, so I got a little bit of camera life here, so I'm gonna get some assistance. Well, the crankshaft's not bent on the LS, but it's pretty well screwed. So that is where we used to have a 1/4-inch pin that's now been sheared in half. Then you can see there's tons of material transferred on the snout. And then the keyway's been just removed. It's been flattened out. But I don't think it's bent. So on the plus side, the crankshaft's not bent, it's just scarred for life. Let me see that blower, or the balancer hub. Okay, and then the balancer hub. She done. So it cracked right there at the key. It's got a crack right here. It's cracked all through that sleeve I was talking about. And then, where else is it broken? I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah. So, here's what's left of my keyway. Right there. Sweet! Well, the death of the crank snout of the LS.